we go!
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 5 of Fishin' Outrageous Radio. We're joined today, me and Scott are joined today with a Bassmaster Elite Series pro, Timmy Horton. How's it going?
Good, guys. How are things up north?
Well, they finally warmed up a bit. I mean, being up here in Thunder Bay, like if you need a message passed on to Santa or anything, I'm sure we can help you out.
Oh, that's funny. I like that. I'll tell you, Thunder Bay is phenomenal. I got to be on it for the first time this past summer, and you guys have a special fishing location there. It's really good.
Yeah, there's a lot of great smallmouth fishing up here. I know you like your smallmouth.
Yeah, no doubt. It's we've got some really big smallmouth here on Pigwig, which is where they are located naturally. They're furthest on their southern reach, but ours are a lot more difficult to catch than the northern smallmouth. Those are a lot of fun up there.
We're going to jump right in here. I know you got to be getting ready for Lake Seminole. That's coming up. First stop on the Elite Series, March 13th. That's 6 days from now. How excited are you to kick off the season? Yeah,
ready to go. You know, it's this time of year, everybody's, you can only look at your fishing tackle so much until you're ready to get out there and use it. But we're all excited, ready to go. I was on the phone with Edwin Evers today and Cliff Pace. And Aaron Martins and I missed each other 3 or 4 times, calling each other back and forth. So everybody's excited, ready to get down there, that's for sure.
Are you down there right now, or just heading there soon, or what's going on there?
Yeah, it's about a 5-hour drive for me from where I live here in North Alabama. So I'm going to leave out early Sunday morning. Our youngest daughter, has a basketball game Saturday, so I don't want to miss that. And then I'm going to leave out Sunday morning, and practice starts on Monday.
Have you had lots of experience, or much experience on Seminole?
Yeah, Seminole. I was actually there when our first daughter was born. It was the year I was leading. Yeah, I was leading Angler of the Year, and I got off stage, and I got a phone call from my wife that she had went into labor. And what was strange about that, the week before, I had driven home. I was already down there practicing. Back then, we didn't have an off limits, and I was down there practicing, and she thought she had went into labor. So I go home, and I'm ready to miss the tournament and everything. And the doctor says, no, she's at least 2 weeks away. That was just false labor. And so I go back down there, and unfortunately, I didn't make it home before Lauren was born. But I listened to it over the telephone and everything. So it's pretty cool how that brings back memories of one of the most special moments, in my life, of being there when our oldest daughter was born. And I actually finished 5th in that tournament. That was the final day of competition, and went on to win Angler of the Year that year. So that was a pretty special deal.
Well, there you go. That is a special memory then.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Cool. So, I mean, there's a few things that we want to ask you about. One of the things I wanted to sort of get off my chest is I know that you're a pro staff with Hydrowave, correct?
Yes,
Yeah, so I mean, it's something that I feel like is still kind of catching on up here, and I know I hear guys talking about it all the time, and because there isn't a lot of people with experience up here, I was wondering if maybe you could, well, first of all, let me know how long you've been with them, and just maybe give me a rundown on just what the deal is with those units and your experience with them.
Yeah, I've been using them for 3 years now. I think the misconception that people have with the Hydrowave unit is it's not what it does. It's not what it does to the bass as much as it is what it does to the bait fish and the crayfish and everything that's being preyed upon. One thing that you'll notice, like when you run to a different section of the lake, how many times have we pulled up on the bank and we get a bite right off? Well, what has happened is the noise and the wave action has stirred up the bait fish, and those bass know that, and they're there ready to feed on them. It's kind of like being in the South. We'll have these huge schools of threadfin shad that in the fall of the year will be on the surface, and they'll be swimming up to your boat coming by, and you cut your trolling motor on, and they all scatter. They all spread out of their protection, which is being balled up. And that's what that Hydrowave does. It just creates a lot of noise. I can remember fishing in little local tournaments when I was young, and we would be fishing offshore brush piles and not get bit, and we would put our life jackets on, crank the engine up, and circle around those areas just to stir up the activity, and then you'd go to catching fish. So, yeah, that's what the hydro-wave does. It really gets the bait stirred.
Have you had a chance to use them? Like, I know you've done some fishing up in the Great Lakes and stuff. Have you used them for the smallmouth up our way?
Yeah, I cut them on pretty much everywhere that I'm at. I cut mine on. It varies. If I'm fishing shallow, and this is another thing that I think it does. I think you get that consistent noise, and I feel like it hides that on and off of the trolling motor. And that's a lot of times where you'll spook fish also, when that trolling motor is cutting on and off. And when you've got that consistent noise coming out of the hydro-wave, then you get that breakup that disguises that noise.
Yeah, that's definitely a really important point. I know I've fished team tournaments and had a fish spotted about to pitch to them, and then your partner touches the trolling motor, and wow, that's the end of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Okay. Well, the other thing I wanted to ask you about is this new company, Profound Outdoors.
Yeah, we're excited about Profound. It's having just an amazing amount of success. I never envisioned, or neither did the rest of the guys that are partnered with me, that it would take off like it has. It's a neat concept. It's a direct sales company. In fishing, I think that no matter what's trending, what color is hot or what lake is hot, what species may be biting, no matter what it is, that it all happens within the group where we all live, on the local scene. And that is networking. That is telling the stories of what colors are working, what fish are biting. And we've taken that concept and turned it into where guys can join Profound. And people obviously can shop at ProfoundOutdoors.com without being a member. But if you want to be a member, you get discounts, and you can also earn income potential through Profound. So it's a pretty neat system. We're just amazed at the response and how much fun we're having. It's taken up a lot of my time the first 2 months of the year, that's for sure. But it's pretty cool. We're having a lot of fun.
Cool. And maybe you can tell us a bit about. I was looking into some of the baits. I mean, I was definitely had my eye on some of those spinner baits you guys had, as well as those Kelly Jordan flipping jigs. And there's some real cool features with those baits. Could you tell us a little bit about what you guys have to offer?
Yeah, all of our stuff is unique. It's designed with the way the pros want them. The manufacturer that we have, when we send a guy and he comes to us with an idea, one of our pro staff, with a product, we tell them, don't stop until you get it exactly the way that they want it. I'm not concerned if this hook costs a little more, or if this skirt costs a little more, or if this paint scheme costs a little more. I want it to be exactly the way those guys want it. And that's what we've done. We've got a lure we're coming out with that Edwin Evers developed for us. That's a stand-up, oversized shaky head to put big worms on there. That's such a big deal down here where we fish in the southeast. But it's also an awesome application to put a crawl on. He developed it in the smaller sizes for a smaller hook. It's going to work great to put some kind of crawl on there. And he actually worked on that lure for about 3 months. With our developer, and he kept turning it down. No, it's not the way I want it. It doesn't have the right spring in it. The hook angle's not correct. The shape of the head angle is not correct. One thing after another, until he finally approved it this week. And that part of the process is pretty cool to me, because I've seen so many times, even with some of the other lure company manufacturers that I've worked with in the past, I would see a lure for the first time when I seen it on the shelf at a store that had my name on it. And that really is can be disheartening sometimes. So what we've got and what we're doing with developing these lures is pretty cool. We've got some soft plastics coming out. They're going to be called Clone, spelled with a K. And I got some neat graphics on the designs of the packaging, but also, and more importantly, the lures. And it's just a cool concept to know we can get in here and spend time with the tooling and get it exactly the way we want it, and the customers are able to purchase it.
That's good. I mean, I think I hear a lot of the time too, people they feel like a lot of baits, especially from some of the bigger companies, they're more made for the angler as opposed to the fish. They're meant to sell, and there's not as much of a focus on that fine tuning to have them actually perform at their what their real potential is. So.
Oh, there's no doubt, and there's so many things that get shot down because the company doesn't feel their margins will be good enough, or they don't feel maybe the lure is too regional, maybe it's not a broad enough spectrum to work all throughout, and a lot of it has to do with warehousing. You know, these bigger companies want to buy so much volume to be able to save 2 or 3 points on a lure that they won't take something on that may be regional, but man, if it's regional and it works in this part of the country, we need to make it. We need to sell it. You know, so that's the aspect that we're taking with it, and it's really it's been mind-boggling as what has happened from a sales standpoint, and it's been really cool.
That's good to hear. Fast forward a bit here. We definitely the thing that I was most excited to talk about with you is Major League of Fishing. What I want to know is where the idea of Major League Fishing started. Was it a group of anglers that got together that started this, or was it someone outside of the industry that brought the idea forward?
I would give anything if I could take the credit for Major League Fishing, but that was actually something that spawned from the thoughts of Boyd Duckett and Gary Klein. You know, they felt like there was something that we could bring more, that would bring more drama to the fans, to the viewers watching the show. And man, has it done it, because every boat show that I have worked this winter, and everywhere I go where I'm in front of a big crowd, everyone wants to ask about Major League Fishing.
Well,
and it's the hottest thing on television. It's the hottest thing in our industry. And man, it is the numbers and the ratings on that show is just through the roof. It's phenomenal.
Well,
but
it's definitely a made-for-TV event. Like, you know, the extended cast is, what, 2.5 hours of just straight on the boat. They're talking about what's happening, what the deal is, and what's going on. There's really nothing that you can hide on the show, and it's just you've never really been that up close and personal with the anglers. So with the way the new rules are set up, with the fish handling and the penalties, and they're game changers, and it's just nonstop action.
Yeah, it is, and it's pure adrenaline. That the very first one we had it scheduled, and I had a hunting trip previously planned the year before, and I didn't want to let this group of guys down. We were flying up to Saskatchewan, going whitetail hunting, and so I missed our very first one at Lake Amistad 2 years ago. And the guys kept telling me, you know, you're not going to believe it when you fish this, Tim, how intense it is. And I'm thinking to myself, they're just trying to hype it up a little bit. It's still just a tournament, you know. And we had fished in so many situations, and they were dead on, because you can't explain when you're sitting there and you start hearing these weights come in, and then you're trying to run through your mind, what is that angler's strength? You know, if Tommy Biffle caught him, was he fishing shallow? You know, if Iaconelli caught him, was he fishing out deeper on a jerkbait? You're trying to think of what was happening with those other anglers, and it really plays on your mind a lot more than the TV it comes across. It is an intense competition for sure.
Well, and I think that's one of the coolest things, especially for people watching. I mean, we had Jacob Wheeler on our last show from the FLW series, and he's been asked to fish the new one coming up. And I told him, I said, you know, I watched the Elite series, or I'm watching an FLW event, and you know, so I tend to get sweaty palms just watching those events. You know, being a tournament angler myself, but the MLF stuff is just, it's the emotional responses out of anglers. I mean, it's really cool to see you guys with so much experience under that kind of pressure, just to be put into something that's, you know, it's so different and it's so pure as well. Oh,
it's amazing. When we were at Alpena and we had the sudden death round, and we're trying to hit that 40-pound threshold, and you know, I was on them at the end of the second period, before the third period. I mean, I've got them right under me, and I'm dropping a drop shot down, and I'm catching them every drop, 15 foot of water. And the period ended, and I'm only, I think, 3 or 4 pounds from going out. All I needed was 5 more minutes, and I would have went out. And so the period ended. We had to go back in. We come back out, and that school of fish had moved. So now I've got Skeet Reese and Jason Quinn just chomping at my heels, and all I need is to catch one more fish. I finally catch one, and I'm 1 ounce short. And I mean, it felt like an eternity to catch that next fish that weighed 1 ounce, or to get me over 1 ounce. It weighed more than that, obviously. But yeah, it's an intense competition, to say the least.
So let's just say during tournament fishing with the live leaderboard, is that something that's made you change your mind more than anything else during any other tournaments? Like, is it, because obviously I've never fished anything with a live leaderboard. Is that the biggest?
Oh, there's no doubt, and Major League Fishing has that set up now where folks listen to this radio program, they can do that within their own club tournament. They can go and download the actual system that Major League Fishing uses, which is really cool, and use that to compete. And the catch and release aspect of it is just huge. I think it's going to really change our sport in a real positive direction, as opposed to taking fish up to a weigh-in. But the whole concept, because what happens when we get into a weigh-in in our normal tournament situation, and you've got either that emotional high of doing well or that really low feeling of doing bad, but you don't know that until you get in. I mean, you get how you do, but when that is happening every moment, every second, and you know how you're doing against the competition, it's a whole different story. It's amazing.
It kind of eliminates those sandbaggers, eh?
Yeah, there's none of that going on, that's for sure.
So this format with the live scoring, like, where do you feel, how far, like, is this the future?
There is no doubt. There is no doubt. I don't know that a fish has been lost in Major League Fishing ever. Even if you take a fish that's hooked deep on a crankbait, you get that fish back into the water, back in his environment, he is going to be fine. And that is the coolest part to me about it, from the conservation standpoint, knowing what's happening, because we all, as tournament fishermen, we all want our waters to be healthy, and the conservation standpoint is important. But I also think just from infinity that it brings out. I mean, this is the final lap of NASCAR wrapped into a whole day. It's just incredible, and it's awesome.
Yeah, and I think from a conservation standpoint, I mean, I'm just finishing up my schooling now, but the past 3 or 4 years I've worked as a fisheries technician and biologist, and so I mean, I think it's incredible. I think it's definitely a step in the right direction, and I guess we maybe almost kind of answered this, but we had someone named Brad Rissanen that had sent us a question, and he pretty much asked, what do you see in the future for MLF? I mean, do you think that it may actually replace the way that we do tournaments now, or do you think it's just going to be, just something different?
No, I think it's going to replace it. I really do. I mean, why would we not go that route? I mean, the way it has been in the past was out of necessity. We didn't have the technology to do it the way it is now. Those scales that we use in Major League Fishing are the most accurate, detailed scales I've ever seen. I mean, what they don't show on camera a lot of times is we'll ask for a reweigh, and they'll take that fish off and put it back on, and that thing is broken down to increments into a quarter, and it is dead on every time. It is amazing. And so I think from an accuracy standpoint and technology, especially as you start seeing more coverage on these lakes that we go to, if you're in an area that's a real, rural area and there's not great cell service, it makes it tough. But a lot of these places we go to now, you could be out with a club tournament and see exactly how you're standing up, with all the guys fishing in the tournament. So it's pretty cool.
Is there anything that's maybe behind the scenes that the viewers don't get to see on TV? Like, what are the hotel arrangements, or when do you find out really what body of water you're fishing, and how big of a secret is it really?
Oh, that is a great question. It's a huge secret. Obviously, when we're in northern Michigan, obviously we got a feeling we're going to be smallmouth fishing, but we all felt like we were going to be in Thunder Bay there in the Great Lakes, and we're not. We actually they will not even let us cut the GPS on the truck as they drive us out, and they will not let us, view any phones and look at maps or anything like that. So it is a 100% secret deal. One of the cool aspects about it is the week-long deal that we're there. you've only got, a third of the guys competing during the day. So the rest of us actually at one time of the whole year getting to hang out with each other, because the rest of the time we're so busy going from point A to point B. And that part of it has been as cool as anything with Major League Fishing. We're all at the same hotel. We're all, if you're not competing that day, it's a good day to kick back and have fun.
Cool.
That's what I was going to ask you. So you were saying how the format sort of offered up for people to use it at clubs and other events. Is this an app for a phone, or is it something you download and use on an iPad, or what exactly is it?
It is. You download the system on your phone. I actually shot a commercial for it. I hope I'm not getting ahead of myself. I don't know if they've made it public yet or not. So
I think I saw
if they haven't, congratulations, because you guys are breaking the news. But but it is. It's going to be a system that local club tournaments, high school tournaments, college events can actually download the Major League Fishing system. And another cool thing about it, the long-term plans are that people are going to be able to, if you've got family at home that wants to watch and see how you're doing that day, they're going to be able to tune in and check it out too, just as we do live coverage of other bass events. So the magnitude of it is and also from a data standpoint. I mean, how cool is it just to click on and say, oh, there's a tournament going on at Toledo Bend. Let me see how the fishing is today. Or there's one going on at Lake St. Clair. Let me see what's happening over there today. I can go to Major League Fishing and check that out. That's the future. It is.
I never even thought of that.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think I did either. And I think even it's definitely useful from an angler standpoint. But I mean, I could even see some validity in fisheries management using this as well. I mean, data is data, and I mean, to be able to absorb anything like you can out of something like tournaments. I mean, I know a lot of the time they use weigh-ins, whether they're tagging fish or whatever, and so there's definitely a lot of things going on with this.
Yeah, from a fisheries standpoint, I know the biologists, when we were in Florida last year, they were just beside themselves about the Major League Fishing format and how user-friendly it is for their departments, within conservation. And it's it just has the right feel with everything, from the intensity of the competition to just the stewardship and the right thing to do from conservation, and then the aspects of it from technology for people to gather information and say, man, look how they're biting on this lake. I need to go there next weekend, and it's pretty neat.
For sure. So the other thing I was going to ask was, so we had there was the first one you were in on Chautauqua, and then there was the one in Florida there, and I know you were eliminated earlier in the first rounds at those ones, and I mean, with that said, so was Aaron Martins, and it's a bit of a who's who in those groups anyways, but you made it to the final round up in Michigan, and I'm just wondering, was there what made a difference for you from the other events? Were you still adjusting to the format, or was it your experience with smallmouth, the way that it's set up? What in your opinion?
Yeah, I tell you, Major League Fishing, it really, my strengths of fishing are really being meticulous offshore and finding places where, maybe, if you look at the events that I've been fortunate to win, they were all, events where I found really, really unique places offshore. And that's the way I like to fish. That's the style of fishing I like. And Major League Fishing becomes a numbers game quickly. And the easiest way to do that is to get on the bank and fish the obvious stuff. And I'm having to evolve within Major League Fishing and approach it different than I do, say, a Bassmaster event. But the cool thing about Alpena was that I found in the first two rounds, I found places that were like that. And unfortunately, in the final round, I didn't. I don't know that any of us would have kept up with Kevin, even if we would have found something like that. But it was, it just fit into my style of fishing at Alpena. It sure did.
Well, I guess maybe that's the other question I got is can that guy be beat in Michigan or what?
It was amazing how different. We were right there within a 50-mile radius of all of those lakes. And in the first two that we go to, you could catch them. You could catch them shallow, but there were really good schools out in 8, 12 foot of water where you could use your electronics, find those fish, and just say and catch fish after fish. We go to that next lake where the finals were. You could not get bit out there. Everything was up there shallow, and that was something. By the time we all figured it out, it was too late. And Kevin knew that, and it was just he was dialed in on it early, and he's an amazing angler. I mean, it's we're in awe of him, and we compete against him all the time. But he is a phenomenal fisherman, that's for sure.
I got one other question that Marty Stone was kind of talking about. Were you ever enticed by the grass in Alpena to go for largemouth at all, or was it just...
Yeah, the first round that I actually won, the first set is for largemouth the entire first session, and even went largemouth fishing at the beginning of the second session. So yeah, it was, and there were some great looking largemouth areas, and just couldn't get them going though. But yeah, there was definitely that enticement to go look for it. That's for sure.
All right, so we had a couple email-in questions just from some listeners that we had going on. So the first one that we have for you is from Jeremy Baird. He's from Southern Ontario. He wants to ask, when fishing a tournament in Arkansas during pre-spawn or spawning time, which species is best to target, spots, largemouth, or smallies, and which techniques would be best to target them?
Yeah, that's a great question. And those Arkansas lakes, really, especially the northern Arkansas lakes that have all of the species in it. But I would answer that question, if you were tournament fishing, I would go for largemouth, simply because they usually weigh more. But there are a few exceptions there. In Arkansas, there's some lakes that the spotted bass will win, but for the most part, largemouth are going to be more successful.
All right.
Okay, cool. And I got one here as well. It's from Pete Garnier, who's one of our Southern Ontario pros, and he's actually fishing the BAS Northern Opens this year for the first time. And Pete's question was, what's the biggest difference you've noticed between fishing Florida strain largemouth in, say, the TVA impoundments versus the northern strain largemouth that we get in, New York and the Finger Lakes, etc.?
Yeah, the Florida strain are so fragile to front. They're really a fun fish to catch when the weather's great, but they're very temperamental. When you get a front that comes through, it just shuts them down. Where up north, it just seems like they bite regardless. So that would be my biggest thing, is really how a sudden drop in temperature and a water temperature change really knocks those fish, knocks them out, and they just don't feed at all on the Florida strain.
Okay. I have one question that's kind of important to me. I started fishing as a co-angler in some events down south, and so I'm pretty interested in this one. What kind of tips do you have for co-anglers fishing on some major events?
I would think the biggest thing is my biggest tip to them would be to get there and really be relaxed. When we're out there and it's first thing in the morning, we've got our mind on going through boat check. We've got our mind on going through getting our tackle ready. And you've got a limited space to do that in. You've usually got 20, 30 minutes getting the boat launched. So we're kind of really focused on what's going to happen. And a lot of people will think that as we're not wanting to talk to our co-angler. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's just that first 30, 45 minutes is not the time to ask how everything's going to go for the day. And that would be my biggest tip. And then once you get out there and you get fishing, ease into the conversation, and you'll find that it'll go much better that way. And then the second thing is really, let the guy know, hey, I'm out here to have fun. If I pressure you in any way, let me know, and I just want to sit back here and have fun. And what you will find is that pro will sense that, hey, this guy is really respecting my water. I'm going to give him a great chance to catch fish today. And you'll find that the guys will really work together when they do it that way.
That's some sound advice.
Yeah, I think so, definitely. I guess we're sort of getting to the end of our time slot here, but one other question I wanted to ask you that I love asking guys in your position is just what's your best advice for young anglers, people that they're as into it as we are, and they really want to go somewhere with their fishing. What's some of the best advice you would give them, Tim?
I was fishing an FLW event, and I drew out Clark Inlet one time, and I was just starting, and I asked Clark, I said, man, how do you go about getting sponsors? Because as we all know, that if we have a desire, as you said, to take it further, that's something that we all strive for. And Clark told me, he said, man, don't worry about that. Just worry about the fishing and let that take care of itself. And that was some of the best advice that I could have been given. And I would tell him, just focus on the fishing. Learn as many things as you can. If your strong suit is fishing tubes or drop shotting, leave that stuff at home on trips and go out and power fish. If you love to power fish, leave that stuff at home on trips and just go finesse fishing and really try rounded as you can get in all of the different of fishing.
Cool, and I think that's definitely something I've seen from a lot of guys at your level. They're very well rounded anglers. And I mean, even you take a guy that's known for flipping largemouth in Florida or something like that, and doesn't mean that he can't go out and drop shot and fish deep. And
well, Big Fish Bobby Lane did well in Michigan.
Well, there you go.
So
Big Fish Bobby Lane, that's right. Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, time's running a little short here. I wish we had more time. Just means
it's great interview with you guys, man. I have enjoyed it. No doubt.
Just means we'll have to get you on the show again.
Yeah, anytime. You guys just hit me up, and great interview, and you guys have got some phenomenal fishing up there. I'm envious of you.
That's awesome. Well, thanks a lot for coming on the show, Tim. And I mean, the best of luck to you this season. Are you fishing anything outside of the elites?
Elites and Major League Fishing, and then I do 2 television shows, Timmy Horton Outdoors, and then the Bass Pros, also the Bass Pros, so staying busy with all of it. So it's going to be a busy year. Awesome.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, Timmy. And like I said, thanks a lot for coming on the show.
Hey, you're welcome. You guys have a great evening, okay?
Okay, you too.
All right, thanks, Tim.
You bet. Bye-bye.
All right, so that was episode 5 with Timmy Horton. It was definitely nice to get some insight on the MLF stuff. I don't know about you, but
yeah, for sure.
That concludes this episode. Oh, you have something to give away.
Yeah, I have something huge to give away, actually. I got an awesome prize pack.
Here's the deal, man.
From the company Bait Rigs, I'm giving away 2 packs of oddball stand-up jigs, 2 packs of fin spin stand-up jigs, 2 packs of slow poke finesse jigs, 2 packs of slow poke weedless jigs, as well as 2 packs of Grubmaster specialty insert jigs. So if you're a walleye fisherman, you're going to want to get in on this. Not to say they don't still have some bass applications as well. And then additionally, I'm also giving away a 6-pack of Hornet H6F crankbaits, which are great bass crankbaits, they're great walleye crankbaits. They even have a smaller one, the F3, which I think I caught bull trout on it, I caught rainbow trout on it, I caught brook trout on it, and even Arctic grayling when I was out west this summer. So you're definitely going to want to get in on this, and all you have to do is find either James or myself on Facebook or the Fishin' Outrageous Facebook page and message us your name, your address, and the code word Salmo Hornet. And that's all you got to do.
So just confirm, the code word is Salmo Hornet, and just message that to either myself, James Hill, or Scott McGill, and or the Facebook page for Fishin' Outrageous Radio. And that really sums up what we have going on in this episode. That's definitely a prize pack you're not going to want to miss out on.
You know what I get a kick out of? Your first show last year, of your first season, you interviewed me, and then you went on to interview Andrew Upshaw, Casey Martin, Randy Howell, who won the Bassmaster Classic this year. This year we talked to Randall Tharp. I mean, Jacob Wheeler.
Jeff Gustafson's been on the show.
We just talked to Timmy Horton. Like,
the show's blowing up.
It is. Hey, I'm glad I could help.
I can't wait to see what's next.
I don't know.
Maybe more followers for you on Twitter.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. That's okay. Next show, I'm going to make you tell some of those stories that you've been telling me.
Okay.
Like you trying to reach the hot foot down at Havasu.
Okay, all right.
Boat.
Yeah, hold on. So, as always, you can look for me on the web. I'm at jameshillfishing.com. I'm on Twitter at jhillfishing. You can look for me on MPS. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. Obviously, I can't do this show without the help of some great people from Crestliner, Smiths, guys down at Chronicle Journal and Big Ed's, DNR Sporting Goods here in Thunder Bay, Voodoo Customs for all your apparel need, custom apparel need, and Imperium Baits. Check them out online at imperiumbaits.com. Some great soft plastics.
And yeah, you can find me, Scott McGill, on nationalprostaff.com, as well as on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter at McGill_fishing. And I'd just like to thank my sponsors as well, Imperium Baits, Salmo Canada, and BioEdge Fishing Products.
That's great. Don't know what's coming up next. Stay tuned on the Facebook page to see what we got going on. Until next time, keep fishing outrageous.